All right. So this is something that we should probably talk about because we need to appreciate the fact that the Northerners were not planning to become another Igbo or become another Inosi. They actually had that coup in order to break the country apart. That's why they called it Araba. It was about destroying the whole thing, just having a Northern Republic. But, they were prevailed upon by the British High Commissioner, the American Ambassador, Nigeria's AGF, people like Kashim, people in the civil service, senior civil service, especially those from the north, were able to persuade the officers, and so they abandoned the idea of seceding and decided to appoint somebody to lead Nigeria. So they appointed the man who eventually became General Gowan. So Gowan became the head of state on August 1st. August 2nd, he released Awolowo from prison. By 12th of August, he had put out the Gazette. That same month, he organized something called the Ad hoc Conference, where they brought the leaders of thought from every region. But Ojukwu made sure that his own people did not go. This was in September. All right. Around that period, of course, things had happened in July into August, terrible stuff in the north. Of course, essentially payback for what happened in January, but it was still terrible regardless. People were sent back home. A lot of people had returned to the east, and they went with news of terrible things that happened to them. When their own people in the east heard about it, they attacked the Northerners in the east. Now, people don't talk about it, but trust me, these things are written in books. And they didn't only do it in the east; they also did it in the Midwest. Okay, but in the east, they killed Northerners en masse, right, in the hundreds. Okay, so things happened. Did you read it the other day? I read it in passing. I don't want to make it a topic, but I read it in passing. They kill people in Umaya, in Owerri, in Port Harcourt, in Imo, in Enugu, in Oboloafo. A lot of people from the north were unalived, and that provoked another kind of reaction. So what happened was that certain people were there who were foreigners who had seen what happened in Oboloafo, and they got the news out, and it was reported on Radio Cotonou and other radio stations. People received signals in Nigeria, and folks in Kaduna heard about what happened in the southeast on Radio Cotonou, then decided to translate it into English and Hausa languages, broadcast to their own people. They heard what happened to their brothers in the south, in the eastern part of Nigeria. Then they began to kill Ibos again. And that was massive, and it was a massacre. It was terrible. It was so bad that by the time the Eastern region put out a document in October of 1966, they claimed that 7,000 Ibos died. At the time, Ojukwu was the governor, so it wasn't like somebody else did it. Ojukwu said 7,000 people died in October of 1966, reporting what had happened, and all of the killings, of course. Nobody really talked about what happened to the Northerners, but he talked about what happened to the Easterners because, of course, that was his own, constituency. So he put out the message, and of course, people like Gowan felt very terrible about what happened. And so when they called for the ad hoc conference, they expected to have representatives from every part, including the Eastern region, but they didn't really have anybody. But this is what Gowan said on 3rd October 1966. We're going to start from here today. It says, "Gentlemen, I will tell you this. Certainly, there has been a damage. I think that is what we never seem to admit when there is something like that. There's a damage, and I'm very, very sorry about it. I regret it, and I'm doing everything I can. As I said, for God's sake, don't lose hope. If we are alive and if we are determined, we can get this country back to its proper shape. I am determined to do that, even if it means my life. I give you my word for it. To our Eastern friends, for God's sake, please don't lose hope. Let us try and see what we can do to mend what has happened. Give me a chance, and I am quite convinced I will be able to do something very shortly." That was October of 1966, and I just read Crisis and Conflict in Nigeria by H.M. Kirk Green. That was a speech by General Gowan. That was a speech by General Gowan. Well, while that was happening, there's also something that happened. Let me read that as well. Okay, that was October. Oh, I should say this. That was October. Well, something else had happened in September. September was when the ad hoc conference was meant to start. Again, September 1966. The dates are very, very important. That tells you the mindset, I was going to say maniac mindset, to be honest, of certain people in this country. Now, people that kill them, I mean, terrible things that happen in the north and also in the east. By the way, folks in the north had apologized. The governor of the north apologized to the east for the people that died in the north. The federal government apologized to the east for the people that died in the north. The eastern government never apologized to anybody for all the northerners that were killed in the east. And there were many. I have a video on it on YouTube. I'm trying not to change to this topic because it's very, very emotional, the way they killed people. We hear about what happened to the Ibos, but we don't hear about what happened to others in the hands of the Ibos. And so we always have this single narrative, single story, perspective of the matter. We always say, somebody is a victim. Doesn't change the fact that Ibos were victims of what happened, though. I mean, it has to be acknowledged. But when you acknowledge only one side, what you're doing is to make that group the sole victim of the narrative, or in the narrative. So all the events that happened in Nigeria's history, that's the sole victim. That's a lie. They were perpetrators of terrible things in the Midwest, in the eastern region, even in parts of today's Middle Belt. Parts of Benue and Kogi State, the Ibos got there. Did terrible things. For the Northerners living in the, you know what? I've said this thing. I said it last time. I'm saying it again, but I've never read it. I've not read it so far. Do you mind if I read this thing? It's actually quite important. I'm trying to gloss over it, but I don't think it's going to help. You can't appreciate it until you've heard it. And again, like I always say, and it's important to repeat it, this is not to say some people are bad. It's just that you are not a saint. I mean, I'm not going to say you did something that you did not do just to be able to claim that, whatever. But it's important that we don't have this terrible thing where we just act like one group is, nothing happened to them. I won't even read everything. Should I read? Let's start with Enugu. Very quickly. In Enugu, the attack on Northerners started on the 15th of August. Igbo soldiers led the attack. About 630 Northerners were killed in the province, while 27 were seriously wounded. A Northern boy, 7 years old, was publicly slaughtered in the street by uniformed I'll take that slowly. A Northern boy, 7 years old, was publicly slaughtered in the street by uniformed Igbo soldiers in the presence of another Northerner who dressed like an Igbo and was thus able to escape detection. In Onitsha province, 30 Northerners were killed and 6 seriously injured. In Owerri too, where Northerners had lived for long and intermarried with the Ibos, they were attacked and killed in cold blood, despite assurances from the Igbo elders. One Northerner, by the Igbo elders in quote, one Northerner who escaped from Owerri was Alhaji Sabo, who was born there, his father having settled there 70 years ago. His father, chief of the Hausa community in Owerri, had been a customary court judge there for 37 years. He was killed at the beginning of the organized attack on Northerners in the presence of the son, who later managed to escape to Kaduna. All of that happened in August. In September, a very large number of those Northerners who had managed to reach Oboloafo on their way to the north were murdered. This atrocity was witnessed by some foreigners on the Otukpo-Onitsha road on their way to western Nigeria, and these eyewitnesses are believed to be one of the sources of information for the foreign broadcast of the atrocities. In Port Harcourt, a house with a large number of northern women in hiding was attacked. The women were raped and beaten to death. Ibos singing war songs slaughtered every northerner they could find in the street, and a number of those who were in hiding were killed quietly by their neighbors. During the evacuation, a train driven by an expectorate carrying about 2,000 Northerners from Port Harcourt was stopped at Imo River by Igbo soldiers. Suddenly, Igbos armed with deadly weapons rushed out from the bush and attacked the passengers. Every adult male Northerner on the train was killed and the body thrown into the river, while children and the young women were captured and taken into slavery. The few survivors were eventually admitted into Otukpo and Makurdi hospitals. I'll just read only this part. If you read Sunset in Biafra, you will see what happened to others in Port Harcourt, the hands of Ibos. Again, you know what happened to Ibos in the north. It goes without saying, it was terrible. But you see, once you don't put things in proper perspective, you will be easily blackmailed with sub-stories. Again, show compassion, but don't be naive, right? Something happened to people. In fact, let's just quickly go through it. Leaders of other people were killed by Ibos. Leaders, military leaders, political leaders in different parts of Nigeria, but not in Igbo land, but killed everybody. Those ones now retaliated in July. Bad, but it is what it is. They retaliated. Folks then went back to the east, so they killed a lot of Easterners, a lot, over 200. Well over 200 people were killed in July 29th into beginning of August. Those will go back home. They tell their own story. The people now caught Hausas or Northerners generally and started killing them. The news now traveled all the way back to the north, and then those ones began to kill Ibos as well. So you see, it's back and forth, back and forth. Doesn't make it right, but it makes it easier for you to understand what really happens. So you don't go around, getting carried away by people who just want to run, an agenda, essentially.